What is the new heaven and new earth going to be like? I think it won't be so much different than what I have now. I'll probably be doing much of the same things. I'll just be doing them perfectly. Because I think back on the scripture, remember when Jesus was raised from the dead and came back, and he saw lots of people when he came back, didn't he? And one of the first things that he did when he appeared to them, he said, "What's for dinner?" He said, "Let's eat." Well, I think about that a lot too. I ask what's for dinner a lot. I like to eat, so I don't think it'll be that much different in the new heavens and the new earth. It won't be so much pie in the sky as a feast on earth for us. And even to add to that, I think God will answer all our dreams. You know, as we've discussed several times, Sherry and I are in the process of putting our house on the market and selling it and hopefully downsizing and moving into a new home. And that's been kind of a dream of ours for a long time. But imagine what the new heavens and the new earth are going to be like. Because God says, in my city, there's many mansions. And if it wasn't so, I wouldn't tell you. He's saying, Don, you and Sherry, whatever you can imagine as far as a house on earth, what I have waiting for you in the new heavens and the new earth are going to far surpass your dreams. So all the things that you can dream about, and I'm a dreamy kind of guy, and I want to believe in receiving my dreams. I want to be a dreamer. I want to have an imagination of the new heavens and the new earth. And in verse number 3, we read that God is going to be with us. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, "Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them, and he will be their God." Some of you that were here when we studied Genesis, and we studied the fall of man, if you'll remember, when Adam and Eve were disobedient to God, and they broke relationship with God, the first thing they learned how to do is to hide from God. You know? And then they learned how to hide from each other. And then they learned how to hide from themselves. And so all these many generations later, we have learned how to be a suspicious people. We question other people's motives. We even question our own motives. But all that is going to be changed in the new heavens and the new earth because God will actually be with us. It'll be that relationship that was lost will be restored to us. And with the disobedience came aging and death. But in verse number 4, it says, "God shall wipe away all their tears from their eyes. And there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, nor shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away." No more tears. Complete restored relationship. That is the hope. That is the hope of the new heavens and the new earth. Now we might ask, if it's a living hope, does it work? Does this kind of hope, can it actually work in our lives? I heard some commentary this week concerning Christianity. The commentator said that it was estimated that 66% of the American public were confessing Christians. 66%. And, that seems a little strange because our president has said we're no longer a Christian nation. But I think we are a Christian nation. But what was interesting is as we sit around, we think things are so hopeless. And he backed that up by saying only 16% of the 66 confessing Christians were really Christians. In other words, were really people that had God as the center of their life, that had Jesus as the center of their life. The other ones were more or less just performing Christians. And so we think, no wonder things are so bad. Only 16%. What can 16% do? But 16% is 36 million people. And if 36 million people could all come together with one thought, with one purpose in mind, and that purpose being Jesus, what could we do? Now compare that to the early Christians. The early Christians probably weren't even 1% of society. But yet, Christianity grew to cover the whole earth, didn't it? And commentators will say that Christianity really grew on the blood of martyrs. Because people took notice of the people that were willing for their faith to give their life. That got their attention. And so the Roman Empire couldn't kill them fast enough, the Christians. And Christianity grew. So maybe we can learn by the early Christians' example. And we got a great message. Think about it. Our message is a message that says, when you die, you don't rot. Death is actually a door to everlasting life for you that Jesus has and prepared for you. So we have a great message. And that message of hope is a message that actually solves problems. If it didn't solve problems, Christianity would never have covered the whole earth. So if that's what hope is, and if hope works, and I truly believe it is, that it does, how can we receive this hope? In verse number 6, we read, "And he said unto me, It is done, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely." In other words, Jesus says, "Come unto me, and I will freely give you life." It's free. It's a free gift for you. So we ask ourselves, are we thirsty enough? And it reminds me of the scripture back in John where, I believe it's John chapter 4, where Jesus was having a conversation with a woman, a Samaritan woman, and they were talking about water from a well, and Jesus in verse 13 said, verse 13 and 14, Jesus said, "Whoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again." In other words, whoever drinks of the well water, you're going to get thirsty again. "But whosoever drinketh of water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life." And in verse 10, Jesus says, "This is the living water." In other words, I give you water unto life. Did you know those verses are prophecies? Prophecies from Zechariah, prophecies from Jeremiah, prophecies from Isaiah. Isn't it interesting how when Jesus talked, he talked Scripture.